Hello, I'm Noreen Burke from the Crafty Organizer, and today I am bringing you a fun upcycled trash to treasure project for your outside decor. If you are new to my channel, please fast forward to the time mark below, but if you're returning, then you know that today's video is hard. I lost my puppy recently. He wasn't a puppy. He was almost 14 years old, and he's in this video a lot today. So I've been stalling recording because I knew it was going to be hard to get through. But you guys have been so sweet and so supportive in your comments. So I wanted to get through it, and I promise I will do my best to not have this be a sad thing. He was an awesome dog. He was awesome. So I want this to be upbeat. He was loved. I got unconditional love from him. So it's going to be a happy video. I know it is, but I wanted to say thank you so much. Your support and kindness has been unbelievable, and I appreciate it very much. You know how when you look back at things, you recognize all the signs? He has been struggling for a long time. We had surgery on him last August to remove some tumors. They popped right back. He's been in pain, and then in the afternoon he's better. So we've had him on glucosamine, glucosamine, whatever it is for the joint pain. We've had him on CBD oil to alleviate the pain. We've had him on anti-inflammatory things. So every morning was really a struggle. He would be in pain. He would walk, little jerking steps each moment. He wasn't playing ball in the morning anymore. At nighttime, he would sometimes forget who I was, so he would be afraid of me. So anything I would try and do to try to get him to lie down or take his medicine, he would yelp in fear. So I know he was struggling. On Tuesday, we got up and he was feeling better in the morning. So we actually went for a walk. And if you're on my Facebook, you saw we got to go for a longer walk, and it was unusual because there wasn't anyone in the park that morning. So I let him off the leash and he got to sniff, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, maybe he's getting better. And then while I'm filming, he's with me throughout the whole day, and he's just lying down. And in watching the videos, I noticed that he was very lethargic. Normally when I'm filming, wherever I go, he follows, and he wasn't on Tuesday. So Wednesday morning, I got up and I couldn't get him out of bed. I couldn't get him down the stairs to go potty. And I came in here after I finally got him moving to start filming, and he just plopped down at my feet. So I started talking to him, asking him if it was time to go. And it was. So we called the vet. The vet agreed, because they've been examining him, that it was probably the best thing to do to let him go. So obviously I walked away from the video. We went inside and we just spent the whole morning as a family loving him and snuggling him, pulling out toys. It's funny because he would just be not moving at all, and then we would bring out a toy and suddenly he would get excited, and I kept thinking, okay, should I not be doing this? Should I be canceling? And we decided we had to do what was best for him. So his appointment was at 1:30. We took him in, and the whole time I kept honestly talking to him, saying, let me know if this is wrong, buddy. If this is not what I should be doing, please give me a sign. And they took him in the back and gave him the IV. And I was waiting in the room for him. There was no way he was going to go out without me being there. And they brought him back in, and he used to do this thing where if you sat on the floor, he would back up into you and sit in your lap. Goofy dog. I used to think the kids were purposely pulling him down, and then because they were little when we first got him. And one day I watched, and he would back up almost until they lost balance, and as soon as they got down on the ground, he would back down and sit in their lap. We called it being a pillow pet. So he came in and he backed right in and sat on my lap, and I hugged him. And that was it. So anyway, watching the video, I realized that he was really struggling that last day. So I'm gonna miss him. But you guys have been so kind and sweet to say, we love you, we support you, we know it's hard. It is. Gosh, it's a, it's a pet. It's a pet. But if you have pets and you love animals, it's a family member, 100%. So I loved him. He was a good boy. Anyway, let's get on with today's video, which was a trash to treasure thing that I found, and I was so excited to get to share it with you guys. So he'll be in it, and it's good that you get to see him one last time. So without further ado, I'm so sorry for the lengthy intro, but let's get started on today's DIY project.
If you've seen my videos before, you know this little area outside of my office is my favorite space. But it is a garage, and I had this arch that was given away from a wedding. It was on the other side of my yard, but it kept blowing over, so I moved it here. And I wanted something that would shield the sun from coming directly in. Someone else had given me these 2 half panels of vinyl lattice, but it did not fit here. For me to make it work, I was going to have to cut them and still get a couple more panels. And I was trying to save money. They were not the most expensive thing, but a little bit more than I wanted to spend. So I happened upon these vinyl blinds that were being thrown away, and I thought this might work to create my own type of trellis on top of the arch. I took them home and started cutting them apart, and I found that the casing was kind of a unique piece, and instead of throwing it away, I set it aside to potentially use it for something else. These were pretty easy to cut apart. I just kept cutting the string at the 3 points that it was connected and then setting them aside. Once I got a few in though, I realized that once you cut that first main line, they just slide out. So I took them apart. I did this for both of the units. And here's my sweet boy. He was just laying there the whole time watching me. But then I measured out the distance that I would need to replicate for it to cover this arch. I started laying them out, and I used the sidewalk slab that I have to keep it as square as possible. And what I had planned on doing is just using one of the slats as a spacer. So it would be a slat and then an equal space for an empty slat, and I just went all the way through. I did realize once I took them apart that the blinds were 2 different sizes, so I was just going every other slat to kind of give it a farmhouse rustic look. This was going well. I actually got through the whole space by having a few left over, but then I realized that I didn't like the look of them being jagged on the edge, so I went and got my square. I got an X-Acto knife and I started cutting the ends off evenly so that it just had a cleaner line. And this was actually really easy to do. I just scored it using my square to keep them straight, and then they actually just snap right off. So I would bend it in one direction and then bend it back the other way to have a clean edge. This was surprisingly easy, so I lucked out there. So what do you think? Do you like the jagged edge or do you like the clean line better? Hopefully you like the clean line too, because that's what I went with. Now, I have watched these upcycling and design shows before, and I always think, oh yeah, right, you just happen to have that on hand. But as I was doing this project, I had this long vinyl strip that was supposed to be used for like a decorative wall piece, and I ended up not using it. So it's 6 feet. And while it doesn't completely cover the whole end of it, this was going to be a good baseline for me to attach the bottom piece. And I'll probably just use one of the blind slats for the end. But then I also happen to have a long PVC pipe because one of the viewers had challenged for me to make the Razcog rolling cart. So I got this trying to make it, and I could not come up with a design that was as sturdy but less expensive. So I gave up. So I had this on hand too. It is almost long enough, so I'll just need to cover that little bit. Then I took some of the vinyl ends inside and tested out the hot glue gun to see how well it would attach it, and it was really good. So I used that, and I'll probably factor in some E6000 too. So I heated everything up and I just started attaching each one of the slats directly to the PVC pipe. I did that all along the top portion, and I also did that on all of the bottom slats to that long PVC slat. Then I came in with my E6000 and my puppy. I just added the extra glue on every single piece so that this would be nice and sturdy. Then I took a break for about an hour, letting the E6000 dry, and I came out by myself, which was foolish, to try and hoist this up and attach it to the eave of the garage and let it rest on top of the arch. Now, what I didn't show is under the eaves, I attached 4 hooks. So I just need to get that PVC pipe that I attached hooked on there, but I wasn't quite tall enough. So this is dangerous. Don't ever do this. But I went and got a little step stool to put on top of my step stool so I could reach the distance and get that hook up there. And while I was getting this and reaching up, a little breeze came by and decided to take the whole thing and knock it down. Good news, bad news. The good news is most of it survived, so I know it's going to be sturdy. The bad news is I had to fix this all, and I had to do one of the things I hate the most in life, which is ask for help. So I got my youngest, she came out. This was easy to fix, and it did definitely give me the confidence that this design was going to work. So we hoisted it up again, and this time I was able to go ahead and hook it on the 4 hooks that I had under the eave. I think it looks great. The only thing that I was disappointed about is where one of the hooks is, it interferes with the slat, so that makes it look slightly off. It is what it is. If this becomes a permanent thing, I'll probably come up with a different solution. And I do wish my landlord would paint the outside of the house because we love the house more than he does, but oh well. So after this was done, I went ahead and moved on to that casing that I mentioned. And what I did here was just pull out the guts. This popped out super easily. This was the mechanism that allowed the blinds to open and close. And that snapped into these plastic pieces, which a couple of them were difficult, but most of them just popped out really easily. So I would just twist it, and once it twisted, I would rock it out. So this had 4 of those plastic pieces in. I just popped those out. And what I was basically left with was this long channel. And here's what I decided to do. I got some of those seedling cups from the dollar store, and I filled them completely inside of this long casing. And I'm going to end up making this a centerpiece for my outside dining room table. So after I got them fitted inside, I got some sand, and I filled the bottom of all of the cups with sand. This, number one, will keep the water from draining out as quickly, and it also gives it just a little bit more weight so it doesn't blow over in the wind. Once I had the sand in the bottom, I went ahead and put my potting soil mix inside each one of the cups. And my potting soil is just a mix of basic dirt and some perlite, those little stones that attract water. Then I ran around my garden and grabbed a bunch of succulents that I like. I've done a video before on how to use succulents, but I love these because you just pop off a stem that's about 1 inch, take off a couple of the leaves, and that becomes the starting point for the roots, and you can just place it inside of the dirt. Succulents are so easy to propagate, so if you've never played with them before, I highly encourage it. But here's how it looks all done. I think this is a cute little centerpiece for something that was otherwise just going to go in the trash can. And as they root, I can go ahead and transplant them someplace else and start a new little pot during the spring and summer. And here is my trellis. I'm really happy with the way it looks. Again, I wish we could paint the house, but that's not an expense as a renter that I'm willing to take on. And my favorite little sitting area. I love coffee here in the morning and wine at night. So this definitely gets me feeling ready for spring. And I'm super happy with the fact that I didn't have to spend a single penny. This little awning is the perfect blend to just add a little bit of charm outside, and the slats were a perfect way to filter the sun from the afternoon when it comes into my office.
I love bringing you these DIY projects and ways to upcycle things. This one I especially liked because what else would you do with blinds? If you have an idea of a craft that you could do with those, please leave me a comment below. But I loved that they're vinyl, so it'll definitely hold up to the weather. It was thin enough that it was lightweight. The entire awning was less than 5 pounds, which is just fantastic. And it'll be interesting to see how it holds up in the heat. Between the E6000 and the hot glue, I think it'll do just fine, but I will keep you posted. And speaking of keeping you posted, that $5 foam core bookcase is holding up just fine. It's been up for over a week now, and I've used it many times by taking the weight on and off, waiting to see what it would do, and it's held up. So I hope you'll give it a try. If you do, leave me a comment below. Also, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, I am still working to hit that 100,000. I just passed 80, which I could not have done without you. Thank you so much for your support this week. It means everything to me. I have not read all the comments, but I will. I might only read a couple a day and respond as I can, but I will catch up and make sure that I respond to all of you. So thank you to my patrons. I have new patrons starting this month. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much. I know this was an unusual video, and I'm sorry I'm not my usual self, but I appreciate you guys watching anyway. I will see you in just a few days. Bye.